What's good, people? It's your boy, Uncle Fred, back in the house. One more again, maybe the last again for a minute, but we'll see. Please hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Look, we're just going to talk about, the Christmas came and went. And for us football fans, that was yesterday. This is like the day after Christmas. And you all feeling melancholy because the whole Christmas season is over. But yeah, the Super Bowl was yesterday. It was a good Super Bowl. Maybe not the Super Bowl y'all thought it was going to be, but your boy, if you watched my show with me and TK's Pick'em show on yesterday, you'll see I'll pretty much hit that thing right on the head. We're going to talk about the highlights from that as the Super Bowl and the things that we saw, things that I saw, and the impressions that was made upon me as I was watching the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about all of those things. We're going to talk about the different ways that teams can be built, and that was evident in on display on the Super Bowl last night. And then, of course, I'm going to ask the question: Did in watching that Super Bowl last night, were you hoping that maybe somebody in our front office, some of our players, someone were watching that Super Bowl to kind of see how things should be done? And if so, what lessons can we learn? And when I say we, I mean the Cowboys. What lessons do you think could be learned from what we saw last night from the Chiefs and even the 49ers in the Super Bowl, those teams that combated for the Super Bowl last night? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more, and then like why it took so long to get our DC signed. That ties into what those things that we could learn from last night. All of that ties together. But that and all and more, sit back with your boy, Uncle Fred, Uncle Fred's Ranch, right back with you. Again, what's good, people? It's Uncle Fred, Uncle Fred's Rants, back on the scene. Um, just wanted to hit you for a little bit because the Super Bowl was last night, and that culminates the end of the 2023-2024 NFL season. And like I always say, man, these games come, and when September rolls around, like the second week in September, and them games kick off, man, it just seems like yesterday, man. On that Sunday night, I'm sitting there watching Dallas kick the Giants butt 40-0. And I'm jumping around like, yeah, we about to do this thing this year, man. And of course, we know how the season ended. It ended with a loss in the first round of the playoffs, like it often does with us. But you know what? Each year is rife, and I mean rife, RIFE, with optimism. And so even with next year, I'm optimistic about what our Cowboys can do, and hopefully, with what Jerry said, we're all in. So we'll see. We're gonna talk about that. But first, Super Bowl was last night, man. It was a great Super Bowl in terms of excitement. Might not being like what it was the year before because it was an up and down, a 38-35 Super Bowl, a lot of scoring, a lot of first downs, a lot of big plays. And if you tuned into the show on yesterday and watched me and TK, my cousin TK's rants on our Super Bowl preview, you would have seen that I had predicted that it would be a 24-21 Chiefs win. If I could just ask, what was the final score, people? 25-22? Man, boy, that's anorexically close right there, boy. That's tight right there, boy. 25-22, and I said 24-21. Yeah, I should have bet on that, shouldn't I? Yeah, I ain't gonna do it. But anyway, the game kicked off, man, and I think called Reliant. Is it Reliant Stadium? I think in Las Vegas. No footing problems as it seemed to be as it was last year in Arizona. That seemed to kind of keep everybody slipping and sliding. But it was a good game. The 49ers were in white, trimmed in red, and the Chiefs were in uh, uh, the Chiefs were in gold, trimmed in white and yellow and gold or whatever. So kicked off. 49ers looked like they was going to take it to him. Drove down the field and Christian McCaffrey fumbles, and I was like, wow. So you got that happen, but the Chiefs couldn't do anything with it. Couldn't move the ball. Couldn't do much of anything, man. In the first, matter of fact, like the whole first half, I think they had like 40 yards or something like that. I don't have all that on my on hand at current. I mean, I got the stats, but I don't have it quarter by quarter. But anywho, and for all practical purposes, man, the 49ers was dominating the game because if you watch the game, you could see the 49ers was really winning in the trenches, which what I mean by on the line of scrimmage. They were winning at the line of scrimmage. They were running the ball. Anytime Christian McCaffrey or Jeff Wilson, I think that's the other guy that ran the ball. Is it Wilson? No, it's not Jeff. What's that guy's name? Is it? I can't think of the other guy. Give me a second. I'll find it. Here we go. Elijah Mitchell. Okay, that's who it was. But anyway, they was getting 4, 5, and 6 yards of carry, and then of course they was doing a lot of play fakes and guys like Huschek and Jennings were getting wide open catches and stuff like that. And so yeah, they was they was just moving the football, man, but they weren't able to cash nothing in, right? And then when the Chiefs did get a play, Patrick Mahomes hit Marquez Valdez-Scantling for like a 50-yard pass, get it down to like the 6-yard line. Like 2 plays later, or 10-yard line, 2 plays later, Isaiah Pacheco fumbled and that threw it at their drive. So I think for all the first quarter ended in no score. I mean, Chiefs really couldn't get nothing going because they weren't able to run the ball themselves early, and Mahomes was getting all kind of pressure because it was obvious Steve Wilks had game plan the Chiefs, especially like Bosa, to not take the inside moves, to keep Mahomes bracketed in the pocket, because you know how Mahomes was nothing there, he'd fake it and then kind of roll outside. That way he can kind of throw it to where he wants to or take off running. No, they was not letting him get outside, so they was really dominating the line of scrimmage. It wasn't until about, I don't know, like the first minute or so of the second quarter, when Moody kicked kicked the field goal, and that made it 3-0, and so that made it 3-0. It was and then with about like maybe 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter, the 49ers, I mean, and I will say this, they was moving the ball at will pretty much in the first half. I think they had well over 150 or so, 160 yards, 170 yards of offense to like 75 or 80 for the Chiefs. They really couldn't really move the ball until late in the second quarter. But with about 5 minutes to go in the quarter, the Chiefs, the 49ers went to trickeration. They threw a little screen pass to Juwan Jennings, who threw it back across the field, which I thought this play was going to get blew up, man, back across the field to Christian McCaffrey. And it looked like to me, man, because Juwan Jennings almost got blew up throwing it. And I was like, oh, that pass going to be off. And it looked like the Chiefs had read it, but somehow he caught it and got the right blocks, and he scooted down the right sideline for 21 yards for a touchdown. Incidentally, that field goal that Jake Moody kicked was the longest field goal in Super Bowl history. it was 55 yards. It would be eclipsed later in the game by, you know. So it was 10-0 with about 4:23 left to go in the second quarter. And then the Chiefs mounted a drive and culminated with Harrison Butker kicking a 28-yard field goal just before half. They was hoping to get it in the end zone, but they was about to run out of time. So with 20 seconds to go in the half, and it's fourth down, they kicked the field goal, make it 10-3 at halftime. And then the second half didn't go too well either for the Chiefs because on the first possession, the Chiefs threw an interception. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what he saw. He saw something over to the right. He was throwing. I think he overthrew Kelsey and kind of threw into double coverage and it got intercepted. But the Chiefs defense, which in the second half, they did their thing. They held them without any points. Okay. And then and it kind of went like that. And then the Chiefs ended up going on another drive and kicking a field goal. This time a 24-yarder with 5 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the third quarter. Harrison Butker kicked a now Super Bowl record 57-yard that barely sneaked over the crossbar, but it went through, made it 10-6. And then, of course, there was a bunch of punts, and it was getting to be kind of weird with the Chiefs offense because going back to the second half of the AFC Championship game, and then you going all the way through the first half of this game, all the way down to like with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, it was like 16 possessions that the Chiefs had without scoring a touchdown, which goes to what I was saying on our prediction video yesterday that, the Chiefs really don't play the game the way they used to play a couple of years ago. They kind of play a middling, offense. They kind of score just enough, and the defense just kind of, does its thing. But lo and behold, special teams, which had been up to this point a big point for the 49ers, being because they couple of times they pinned the Chiefs inside the 1 yard line or inside the 10-yard line on punts. On a couple of returns, I saw Chris Conley tackle the guy, as soon as he got going. So there was a lot of good special teams play, right? But late in the third quarter, Ray McLeod mishandled a punt by the Chiefs, and he was telling everybody to get away from it, but somehow it hit somebody's foot, and instead of just falling on it, he tried to pick it up, and it got recovered by the Chiefs. Very first play, Patrick Mahomes to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 16 yards, touchdown, and for the first time in the game, the Chiefs had the lead 13-10. And from that point on, it was pretty much a give and take, like a nip and tuck kind of thing. Because as much as, because I think in the first 10 throws that Brock Purdy had, I think he was 8 or 10. But then for the next 20 throws, seemed like he was 5 of 15 or something like that. Because Spagnuolo, made some adjustments at halftime. And it wasn't until about 11 minutes to go in the third quarter that the 49ers finally got a drive going, because the whole third quarter, they was kind of, I don't even think they got a first down in the third quarter. I'll have to go back and look at the tape, but they pretty much was held in check. But they drove down, and Juwan Jennings caught a 10-yard touchdown pass from Brock Purdy to put the Niners up. But Jake Moody got his extra point blocked, so that made it 16-13 with 11 minutes to go. Okay, and then the Chiefs took a drive of their own, and they drove. And with 5:46 to go, and they kicked a 24-yard field goal. They kind of thought they was going to get in the end zone, but they just couldn't get in the end zone. So they kicked the field goal to tie it up at 16 with 5:46 to go. And the 49ers got the ball with 5:46 to go. And with 153 to go, they kicked the field goal, a 53-yarder. And that made it 19-16. Left a minute 53 on the clock, and which is more than enough time for Mahomes. And Mahomes drove it and kicked the field goal with 3 seconds to go. They would have tried for a touchdown because they went for Kelsey, who was being guarded by what's the number 7? Tre'Davious Ward, and it was a no-go. And they knocked the ball down, and it was like a little fade route. So they kicked the field goal, tied it up at 19, and so that led to overtime. And so during the overtime, of course, now they said that they changed the playoff overtimes from because everybody was bent out of shape because back in 2021, Josh Allen didn't get a chance to touch the football when Patrick Mahomes beat him with 13 seconds left because they went up by like 3 with 13 seconds left, and Josh Allen never touched the ball again and lost the game by 6 because they got the field goal and then got the ball in overtime, and Kelsey got a touchdown and they never seen the ball again. So they said, no, we're not doing that no more. Both teams going to get a chance to possess the ball at least one time. And so, but I don't think everybody understood what the overtime rules was because I even didn't, because I'll tell you why in just a minute. So the 49ers get the ball, get to win the toss, and they elect to receive, which if Kyle Shanahan understood the rule completely, he would have elected to defer. And because they took the ball and they drove, and they took up almost half of the entire quarter and drove like about 70 yards and got it down to like the 10-yard line. And they could have scored a touchdown, but a blitz that came through that made his throw, because Jennings was open, but he didn't have time to make the throw. So they had to settle for a field goal that made it 22-19. So they kick it off to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs promptly drive. And on their first drive, they get like 8 yards on first down, got 2 yards on or 7 yards on first down, 2 yards on second down. No yards on second down was an overthrow. No yards on third down. It was a run by Pacheco, so it made it 4th down and 1. This basically is the ball game because if they don't get this, it's the ball game. So they ran a little triple option thing where Mahomes had the option to roll out to keep it or throw it to Kelsey, who was cutting underneath him, and he just kept it for like a 15-yard gain. And from that point on, Pacheco had some runs, they had some throws to Kelsey. Kelsey finished with 9 catches for 93 yards. I believe that's right. Yeah, he was 9 catches for 93 yards, caught a variety of throws, and then just like clockwork, Patrick Mahomes right up the middle ran for like a 27-yard run and got him a first down, and they kept driving, and they got down inside the 3-yard and got a 1st and goal on a throw to Kelsey, a little middle screen, and he just fought his way. And when he got the first down, you knew the camera's gonna pan up to the suites to see what Taylor Swift was doing, which they did about 30 times. I'm so over that, man. And then on like the second play after that, Mahomes rolls out. They had a little motion that kept the cornerbacks from getting outside leverage, and he hit Mecole Hardman, a little 3-yard touchdown, and the confetti was rolling, man. The gold and red and gold confetti was rolling, and just like that, the Chiefs had their 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years, back-to-back Super Bowls, and they are your 2023 national or world champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so hats off to the Chiefs, who for many don't know, and everybody know our pulls for Mahomes. Mahomes is a Cowboy fan. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. He's a Cowboy fan. He's a born Cowboy. He grew up in Texas. Come on now. He can't help who he get drafted to. So yeah, we rolls with Mahomes. He's the dude, man. He ends up being Super Bowl MVP. He was 34 of 46, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, that 1 interception to start the second half. Had a touchdown pass to Marquez Valdez Scanlon, and a touchdown to Mecole Hardman, who wasn't on the team at the beginning of the season. He was on the Jets. The Jets got rid of him. They got him right back. Mahomes was also 9 carries for 66 yards. Okay, if you need him. Okay, and I think also Pacheco. I think he had some hard running. He was like, yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, he was 9 for 66. Pacheco was 18 for 59. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was 1 for no yards. So they end up with 130 yards of rushing, which is more than the 49ers. And had they won it, I'm guessing that Christian McCaffrey would have probably been the Super Bowl MVP. Him or because had they got that touchdown to Jawan Jennings, he might have been the Super Bowl MVP because he threw one and caught one. Well, he would have threw one and caught two. So yeah, he probably would have been Super Bowl MVP. Christian McCaffrey, who had had 22 carries for 80 yards and had 8 catches for 80 yards, for 160 total yards of offense, both catching and running. And but anyway, so much for that. George Kittle, 2 catches for 4 yards. Wow, you're talking about somebody getting bottled up. So let's talk about Mahomes hits his third Super Bowl MVP, but really the undersold MVP was wow. Why is my thing not showing? I know I had. Yeah, here it is. Why is it not on here? I don't know what's going on here with this. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, will you stop doing that? All right. The undersold MVP of that Super Bowl was Steve Spagnuolo. For anybody that don't know, he's the defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Who let me give you some information on Steve Spagnuolo. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna be done here in a minute. Steve Spagnuolo's defense this year was second in fewest yardage with 289.8 yards, and points with 17.3 per game, because they did that because the Chiefs' offense was 15th in the league, which is way down from what they're used to, and only averaged 21.8 points per game. The Chiefs' offense, okay? The Chiefs' offense, which is led by Chris Jones, which is an all-world defensive tackle. Probably, if you have to guess the top 2 or 3 defensive tackles, you might say my boy from the Giants is like probably number 1. You might say Quinnen Williams might be number 2. Maybe Aaron Donald somewhere in there. Might be number 3 somewhere in there. Chris Jones is somewhere up in there too. And then you got the cornerback tandem of L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. But here's the thing: this defense, led by Steve Spagnuolo, of course, their linebackers Nick Bolton and William Gay, George Kalafis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Took on 4 of the 6 top offenses in the playoffs this year. Okay, which in Miami, this thing plugged up. It should be. In Miami, in Buffalo, in Baltimore, in San Francisco. Okay, and held all of those teams to 15.8 points per game, which was number one in the playoffs. Okay. Now you couple that with us, and we gave up like 40 points, 41 points versus the Chargers. Versus the Packers. You see how important defense is. Steve Spagnuolo also was the defensive coordinator on the Giants team that held the high power, the best offense ever. I would say the 2007 Patriots and the 2001 St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf, of being the greatest offenses in the NFL history, those two. But he held that team to 14 points and beat them 17-14, if you remember that. So Steve Spagnuolo is known for holding down high-powered offenses. With Michael Strahan, Osa Umenyiora, and Justin Tuck. And they was all constantly in Tom Brady's face. And here they stopped the 49ers offense from getting, from getting anything going. I mean, they got a couple of drives because, they just got too good of a team. But if you look at those stats, I'm gonna tell you what I'm saying, because when you're playing the 49ers, you figure out, okay, we got to slow down Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was 23 for 38, 255, one touchdown, one interception. You factor in that you probably got to stop Deebo Samuels, right? You got to stop Brandon Ayuk. You got to stop them dudes, and Christian McCaffrey. Those are the guys you got to stop, right? Christian McCaffrey got his 22 carries, 80 yards. Had some nice runs in there, but a lot of plays they stopped him at the line of scrimmage, and that's a tough dude to stop, right? That's shouts out to their defense. But then Deebo Samuels had 3 carries for 8 yards, because you can always count for 30 or 40 yards of rushing from Deebo Samuels. He wasn't able to get untracked. And then receiving, Deebo Samuel only had 3 catches for 33 yards. Shout out to Ja'Jarius Sneed, okay, and Trent McDuffie, okay. Also, Brandon Ayuk, 3 catches for 49 yards, okay. Shout out to Trent McDuffie and Ja'Jarius Sneed, was shutting them down, and Steve Spagnuolo, right, making adjustments at halftime, going to some different looks. Some things that kind of had Brock Purdy off balance, had him looking like this was his first Super Bowl. He was looking good, comfy, cozy in the first half, had all day to throw, was finding guys. The running game was good. They was getting some runs. Let me see. How's this thing not charging? Hang on just a second. Hang on. Hang on a second. This thing says the power is off, but it's plugged up. Look like to me. Let me see. Okay. I understand why this is. Is it not charged up? I'm understanding that. Yeah, I'm understanding that. Okay. Anywho, won't be able to get no more stats here. My laptop's locked down. But anyhow, moving on. Spagnuolo did his thing. 15.8 points per game on 4 of the top offenses in the NFL in the playoffs, and he did his thing. Now, so the Chiefs win there, and the Chiefs have got themselves a dynasty. And so here's the thing. Now, I must not put it on my second thing, but here's the thing. When we watch Mahomes, and this is all relative to the Cowboys and the stuff, because a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today is going to be relative to the Cowboys, right? Because this is a Cowboy This is a cowboy content page, right? That's what we do. We talk Cowboys, but we also keep an eye on what's going on with the rest of the league too, because that's relevant, right? So we see that we see that Patrick Mahomes was able to win his third Super Bowl in 5 years, his third Super Bowl MVP. He's uh, regarded as the best player in the NFL, a generational talent. I mean, he's starting to become Brady-esque in terms of like, because this dude has never not been in a championship game. In all 6 years he has started. He's been in the league 7 years, but this first year he only played one game, and that was the last game of the season. So in the 6 years he's been in the NFL, he's been in the AFC Championship game every year. He does not know what it is like to even wake up and not be in the AFC Championship game. He does not. He doesn't even know what that looks like, right? So, the question that, and I'll credit my cousin TK because he was the one that first that kind of broached this idea when we were talking about the when the Chiefs was going up against the I think it's the Buffalo Bills, and he was just talking about the trajectory that he was on. He said, "Man, he's gonna probably win this game because he said Buffalo got a better team, but that guy is that guy, and he's doing all this. He's got everything. He's got the charisma. He's got the look. He's got the he's got the appeal of a multifaceted group of people. He's a lot of commercials. He's basically carrying the league. He said he's like, man, if Patrick Mahomes does this and he's able to beat Buffalo next week, Baltimore next week, the week after that, and if he goes in and beats those teams and goes into the Super Bowl, and if he, at the time we didn't know who they was going to play. And let's say he plays the 49ers because that's who was the favorite. He will be approaching Jordan status. I was like, you know me, I don't have any problems telling. I am an old head, okay, and I don't like when the young bucks be trying to like make current people on the same level with things that us older folks hold in high regard, like Jordan, like no, Jordan is like Jordan on the shelf by himself. Ain't nobody on the shelf with Jordan. But he said, but think about it, Fred. And I said, he said, well, look what he's doing. They understand football and basketball different. One guy can like dominate a team in basketball. He can just take the ball, y'all clear out. I'm gonna get a shot, and you can't stop me. Okay. Football basically you depend on 10 other players on your offense, and then the whole 11 players on the other side of the ball, depending on what side of the ball you play on. So it's kind of dependent. But see, he was just saying, look, man, he's carrying the league. And look, he's just it. He just got it, man. He just got everything you want. He's the guy. It's gonna be hard to beat that guy, man. If he does all that, man, you gotta start looking at him like Jordan. And I kind of didn't, because I didn't think they was gonna beat Baltimore. I really didn't, because I thought Baltimore was a far superior team to them. First, offensive line, the defensive line, the defense, the running backs, the wide receivers. I just thought I think the only advantage that's the only advantage they got is their quarterback. I think, and Lamar is just special in his own right, but he's not Mahomes. He's special. He does things that Mahomes can't do, but he's not Mahomes. And so when he won that game, and you saw how they came out in that AFC Championship game, and they were just making throws. He was just him, boom, boom, taking off and running, getting the first down, boom, him hitting 3rd and 4, hitting Kelsey for 8, and 3rd and 5, nobody open, take off and run, slide, and getting the first downs, and getting them in the right plays and getting down, getting the touchdown. That was the top defense in the NFL. I don't know if anybody knew it. 49ers, I mean, the defense he plays against is number 2. Number 1 was Baltimore. And he went right through them. And he had like almost 200 yards of offense in the first half. They were just going up and down the field. I mean, he was just making throw after throw. If they yinged, he yanged. If they yanged, he yinged. And so after the game, I was like, man, I started thinking about what TK said, man. I said, man, he is getting to that level. And then I'll be dadgum if he don't win the game on a walk-off. That's just like Michael Jordan pushing off Byron Russell, stepping back, hitting that jump shot and that dadgum hand, that follow through back in 1998. If that wasn't a walk-off shot like that, I don't know what is, because that's what that was. Him roll out. Is he going to keep it? And that little speed pass to Mecole Hardman, walk-off touchdown. And what did Tony Romo say right after that? If y'all was listening to the play-by-play. And I know he was kind of god-awful. Hate to say that to a former Cowboy, but he was kind of gushy last night. Doing a little too much. But right after that game, right after the end of that game, he said, Michael Jordan does it again. And I was like, wow. TK was on to something, man. This guy is becoming Jordan-esque. And this might have been their worst team that he's went to the Super Bowl with. The team they lost, that lost to Tampa Bay, was way better than the team he's on now. They just didn't have no offensive line. And he had to run for 400 yards in that game, running for his life. But this might have been his worst team that he's played on, and he got them to the Super Bowl. And you know the front office is going to get him some wide receiver help, some special, some skill position help, revamp on that offensive line where they went cheap on him. You know, they got Creed Humphrey and a bunch of dudes. And, of course, Joe Thuney was hurt. He didn't play. But they make a couple of adjustments, give him a couple of wide receivers, maybe grab a free agent wide receiver or something like that. I can't see no reason why they're not right back in there, preferably against the Cowboys. But is he Jordan-esque, though? That's the thing. And I'm starting to, I didn't want to believe that at first, but the dude is just, I don't know. And so when people will start talking, because now here's the thing. When we watch that game, we're going to get into the second part of this video. We're getting ready to close out, too, because there's a couple of questions we want to ask. Because as you watch that game, you see a couple of things. You're wondering, as a Cowboy fan, I'm looking at a couple of things. Okay, I'm looking at, hopefully, my front office, my ownership, and my players are watching this Super Bowl, and they're taking in what a championship team looks like, how they behave, how they, ice water in their veins under pressure. Okay, these sort of things, how the offense and the defense are in lockstep with each other. Okay, offense ain't working right now, but the defense like, oh, we got your back right now. We're not gonna let them score. We're gonna hold them until you get your act together, like we didn't do against Green Bay when Dak started off slow and CD and Dak were on different pages, like Kelsey and Andy Reid and Rashee Rice and Patrick Mahomes was out of sync in the first half, but the defense didn't give up 2 touchdowns. Were they watching to see like how a team, were they watching? Okay. And then when you look at that game, you see a blueprint of how teams can be built for success in the NFL. You could do it the Patrick Mahomes way, but that requires some luck because there's a lot of teams that drafted quarterbacks a whole lot higher than Patrick Mahomes drafted at 10. I think he was at 10, 12, somewhere like that back in 2017. I can't be sure. It's one of those. And, because a lot of people thought Zach Wilson was that guy. Baker Mayfield was that guy. They picked him in 18, right? Right? 17 or 18. I think that might have been the same draft. Was it? Was that not the same draft? 17? Something like that? Okay. A lot of those guys thought them guys was those guys, and a lot of quarterbacks were drafting for him. Mac Jones, drafted 15, Trey Lance, who's on our team, drafted in the top 10 by the 49ers. Can you get that guy? That's a crapshoot because you don't know if you can get that guy. Even if you get that guy, are you gonna have Andy Reid to coach it? So, and then if you build that way, then you got to put the necessary pieces around him, complementary, that will allow him to be successful. You build it that way. Or you can look at it the 49ers way. Look, we're going to build a team, offensive line, defensive line, skill position players, cornerbacks, because they got stars at every level. And then we'll put a good play caller and a quarterback, just an average good quarterback. I mean, Brock Purdy's a little better than average. He's a good quarterback. And we can go it that way because you can actually do that, especially when a dude's on a rookie deal. You can really splurge on all the other players on the team and just kind of while he's on a rookie contract, you can kind of make it do like we didn't do for Dak when Dak came to the league. We didn't do that. We didn't like go get a bunch of good players. We didn't go get a Christian McCaffrey. We had Zeke. We didn't go get a star corner. We didn't go get a star pass rusher. We didn't go and get those kind of things or another offensive. Well, our offensive line was pretty good, but the defense is where we kind of came up short. But what can we learn from watching the Super Bowl winning Chiefs and the 49ers for that matter? What can we learn, okay, from last night's win? Because that's what I was looking at. This is what a championship team looks like. This is how they behave, okay? So I came up with a list of things, of what I thought, the things that I hope, Jerry, if you're watching, write down some notes. But I know he ain't watching my little video channel. I know he's not. But here's the thing. Here's the first thing I saw last night, and I hope we would glean from last night's game. Number one, when adversity comes, rise above it. Don't fold. Because when we had adversity, you saw CeeDee Lamb and Dak looking at each other sideways, and Dak and CeeDee dropping passes that he catches in his sleep, but dropping passes on the sideline. He looking at Dak looking at him. Coach McCarthy, coming over to talk to CeeDee on the sideline and trying to get to what the bottom of it. CeeDee admitting on Micah's podcast that he pouts sometimes. So a thing that CeeDee ought to look at. Look, when things get tight, man, just tighten up, man. Just and don't pout. This is the playoffs. The Chiefs could have folded last night, man. You got daggum Travis Kelce bumping into Andy Reid. No, man, that was a bad look, man. That was a bad look to me. You don't hit Andy Reid. Andy Reid's like everybody's granddaddy. You don't hit Andy Reid. What you doing, Travis? Are you under pressure because your girlfriend looking up from down up top? I don't know. I'm just speculating now. But that didn't look good, But they didn't let that stop them. They persevered, okay? And even though things wasn't going their way in the first half, with about 3 minutes to go in the first half, they mounted a drive and got back in the game, kicked the field goal, cut it to 7 points, cut it to 4 points early or midway through the third quarter, and they got back in the game. And then they kept it close enough that when the 49ers did make a mistake, they was able to take advantage of that and take their first lead. So the first lesson that the Cowboys can learn from the Chiefs, from the game last night, is when adversity hits, and in every game, adversity does hit. Mahomes was looking a lot like how Dak was looking in the first quarter of the Green Bay Packers game. They couldn't move the football. They weren't getting anything going, okay? But the defense didn't panic. Because remember, when Dak touched the football, he was already down 7-0. Okay? So, So when adversity comes, you don't fold. You rise above it. Okay? Number two, you build your team in a way that is fundamentally sound and conducive to winning. Okay? Now, I'm going to speak on 2 points here because the Chiefs did something that the Cowboys did the same year. They did it the exact same year, 2021. What did they do? They got rid of their number one wide receiver. Both teams did that. The Cowboys got rid of Amari Cooper after the 2021 season, and the Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill after the 2021 season. Okay? But you know what the difference is? Because the Cowboys are amateurs in their front office and their deal makings and the deals and stuff that they're able to wheel and deal and make, they were only able to get and because they were pissy mad and pissy messy about Amari and leaking stuff in the media about how they weren't happy with him and putting, I'm like, if you're trying to trade him, why would you do it? But I'm digressing. They were only able to garner a 5th round pick for that. That ended up being what's the guy's name? Matt Walesko, I think. That's who they end up being. That's who they got. A guy that don't even play for Amari Cooper. who ended up, with like 70 catches for like 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns this year for the Browns. Meanwhile, the Chiefs got a couple of first-round picks, a couple of second-round picks, and some other picks and stuff who they was able to turn into Trent McDuffie and George Kalafis. They was able to build their team. They're not in this Super Bowl win they are today without Trent McDuffie and George Kalafis. George Kalafis had 10 and a half sacks this year, and Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the NFL this year. Second-year guy out of Washington. Okay. That's him and Jadarius Sneed make up probably the second, probably first, second, or third, however you want to look at it, best cornerback tandems in the NFL. So you build your team certain ways, and then you go and looking at, with the way their team is built. You got linebackers, you got Nick Bolton, Willie Gay. You got, they're built in a certain way, and then you got a team with the Cowboys. They thought it was a good idea to have a team devoid of linebackers, like teams never run the football. I can understand having a nickel package here and there for certain situations, but our basic lineup was a 4-2-5, three safeties, two corners, two linebackers, and four defensive linemen. And then when Leighton Vander Esch went down, they just pulled a safety off the scrap heap and put him in at linebacker. So you had one safety and one linebacker playing linebacker. And he's not really a great linebacker. This guy's only 1 year past a neck fusion. So somebody in the front office should have been on the spot looking at how the team is put together. Like, no, we can't have a team without linebackers. That's irresponsible. That's structurally unsound to build a team like that. And I'm not going to let you do it because no other team would let that team go put a team on the field with only one active linebacker and playing 205-pound guys at linebacker. So it's another lesson that we should learn in team building. Number one, make sure you're getting adequate compensation for your drafts. Because we get bathed every time we take a draft because you got amateurs running the draft process. We saw that in the video I showed you last week with Stephen Jones not even entertaining a call from somebody else on a potential draft swap or whatever. You got amateurs running the thing. So build your team in a way that's fundamentally sound and is conducive to winning. Okay. 3, front office or ownership stays out of the way and don't make headlines or distractions. Now, we watched the game last night after they won the game and everybody's up on the stage. You saw Clark Hunt. He's the CEO and the owner, managing partner, whatever you want to call it, of the Kansas City Chiefs. You ever seen Clark Hunt before? He's the son of Lamar Hunt, who, the original owner of this is his son or whatever. I think his mom died earlier this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But that's Clark Hunt, okay? Have you ever seen him before? No? Okay. Do you know who Brett Veach is? He's the GM. Ever seen him before? No? Okay. Because those guys aren't trying to get in the limelight. They're just in the background making moves, making sure the team works, making sure the team is sound, making sure the resources are there for what the team is needing. And they don't go trying to make headlines. They don't go and make unnecessary statements in the media or go on radio shows saying things that could upset the apple cart or make unrest in the locker room, like saying, oh, I don't know, I would hope that we would have a quarterback controversy. Wouldn't that be fun? Or saying something like, well, such and such may have too much of the money, ain't but so much pie to go around. You don't say that. You don't ever speak about money like that because that's one thing you never talk about. You never talk about folks' money in public. Never think when they're on these sports shows and stuff. Folks, no, I'm not going to be patting nobody's pockets because you just don't do that. You don't talk about another guy's money. Okay, you just don't do it. So, and then you don't drag out something that should have been like a 2 or 3 day process over 3 weeks, like getting a DC and going for an extra publicity grab, dragging it out an additional day so you can get it on the ESPN. Oh, yeah. Or like Rex Ryan coming on the show saying the deal for Zimmer ain't done yet, which it wasn't. But why hadn't it? Because they made the announcement on Thursday. This Monday. Sign that guy and get that crap over with so he can go to get to work and put some things in place so our guys can, because the defense is going to be changed. Why aren't you letting him get to work so we can get started? Ain't no salary cap for coaches. Pay him and get it going. You're a billionaire. Quit trying to make headlines. Quit trying to make. There's enough distractions in every year season without the owner making additional distractions. I always say, Jerry Jones, the NFL season is almost like going across a tightrope across two skyscrapers. You 1,000 feet above the ground. He's firing cannons off in the background, throwing your concentration off. That's what he does. So that's one thing I'd hope people learn from watching the Chiefs. You don't see Brett Veach, you don't see Clark Hunt, or anybody in their front office. As a matter of fact, ain't nobody named Hunt as GM. They hired somebody to be the GM, okay? But they stay out of the way and they let those folks do their job, okay? All right? All right. So yeah, why the contract now just getting done for we'll see it. And so now, that's why we would hope. We would hope that when the Cowboys, with ownership, players, if they watched the game last night, hopefully they saw something. It's like, you know what? That's how we're going to adopt some of that. And if the Chiefs can't sign all of their free agents back, if they can't sign Willie Gay back, if they can't sign L'Jarius Sneed back, or if they can't say, well, you don't need no corners. If they can't shine back Chris Jones, I don't know. Maybe get one of them guys that had been exposed to some championship and had some championship smell rubbed on them, that knows how an organization is supposed to be run, so he can influence the rest of the locker room. You know? But we tend to don't like to look at stuff that's working and implementing any of those things into our work. We're going to do it our way. And even though our way ain't been successful in like 30 years, but we're going to continue to do it that way, even though other folks have shown a way that's been more successful. But we're not going to, we'll see an offense that might be working. We won't go get one of the young understudies in that offense to help implement that in our offense. No, we're going to do it our way. We're going to get a guy that don't know his butt from a hole in the ground, or somebody that's a yes guy, and he's going to be our coach. Or we'll see a defense that seems to be able to shut down opposing Now, getting Mike Zimmer is going to help, because I think Mike Zimmer is a heck of a defensive coordinator if he's been allowed to do his job. But anyway, Jerry talked about being all in. Oh yeah, we're gonna be all in. We're gonna be all in. We're gonna push the hell out of it. Okay, Jerry. We're gonna say, because in this whole offseason, shouts out to Landlord of Alabama, because he said that this morning on his video this morning that I watched. I don't want to hear jack about no money. I don't want to hear jack about no pie. That somebody gonna get all the pie. I don't want to hear jack about that. Okay, because this is what we could do. Dak's deal. If we're talking about all in, I know a lot of Cowboy fans that don't like Dak Prescott are appalled because Dak's cap hit is $59 million. Relax. Dak Prescott never made above like 35, 36 million in a year. I think he's making 34 this year. But the cap hit because you moved some money around and you did some other things, like when you refinance your home, you get a balloon payment. Sometimes this is like a balloon payment. This ain't got nothing to do with what you're paying him. This is the cap impact. All right. It's 59 million. Now, the only way you could offset that if you extend him for some more years. Yeah, you might give him about 50 million a year. Fine. Stretched out over 4 or 5 years. It'll be a cap impact like 30, 25, $30 million. You'll save about $25 million. Then you can go back and adjust Zach Martin's contract, and you just move some to a bonus and save about $15, $20 million there. You go on and extend CeeDee Lamb. He's making about $19 million this year on his 5th-year option. You can go ahead and give him like a 5-year, $160 million contract, which is like, what, 150, 5-year 150, which is just under what, 30 million a year, maybe 145 or something like that, just under 30. He will take something like that, and you can stretch that, making the cap impact only like 15 million a year. That'll save you about 10 million because he's going cap impact going to be like 20 right now. And then you can go and even adjust Trayvon Diggs deal and get you about like 12, 13 million dollars. All in all, from those moves, you can save you about $60 million. Then you can start looking at signing some of your in-house free agents, sign you back, Stephon Gilmore, sign you back, what's his name, Deontay Foreman, what's his name, the defensive lineman, and or Dorrance Armstrong, whichever one you want. Re-sign Tyron Smith to a 1-year deal, then draft his replacement, and then look at some outside guys. Let Tyler Biadasz walk, okay, and draft us Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon as a center, and go ahead and get us like a 4th-round pick as a compensatory pick for letting Biadasz walk and letting somebody else pay him $15-18 million. And sign you somebody like what's the big dude from Cincinnati? I cannot think of that guy's name. The big defensive lineman. Go ahead and sign that guy, and go ahead and sign you a linebacker. Go ahead and sign you the guy from the Seahawks. He'll still come to Dallas. Bobby Wagner. He'll still come to DJ Reader. That's the guy name. DJ Reader, the big defensive lineman for Cincinnati. Reader. And see if you can get you either a White, Devin White, and or a Patrick Queen. If the Baltimore Ravens aren't able to sign him as their linebacker, or better yet, get you a Bobby Wagner. You can get him for about $5 to $7 million a year, and let him come in there. Dude's still getting 100 tackles a year. We still need linebackers. Okay, we need linebackers, and then draft you a couple. Then I'll know you all in. Then draft you a wide receiver. Then if you can find you maybe a second level one in free agency, go ahead and get that. Okay, draft you a wide receiver. Draft that kid out of South Carolina, Levitt, Xavier Leggett. Go ahead and draft him, and then we'll see if we're all in. We're only about 2-3 players away from doing what we need to do. Then we'll know if you're all in. But if you wait until the end and try to say, well, we can't sign nobody because Dak's getting all the money, then you're trying to sell that to folks. Because the first thing you ought to do is extend that and free up that money. Then you start with the other contracts to free up some, and then you can start going. Then you can go shopping and get us some guys. Because I don't want to hear nothing about 2029, 2028. I don't give a dang about 2028, 2029. Because you know why? A lot of these players on this team, like a DeMarcus Lawrence, probably ain't gonna be on this team. Guys like that, guys like Stephon Gilmore, he's probably not gonna be on that team then. Brandon Cooks probably not gonna be on this team at that time. Tyron Smith probably not gonna be on that team. So why you still got these guys? Maximize their time, because I'm sick and tired of y'all wasting guys' careers. Kyle's career, because your career is enhanced by your ability to win. That's how you get in the Hall of Fame. You did some things, and DeMarcus Ware had to go to the Broncos to win a championship, which he's going to be a Hall of Famer anyway. But you get guys that putting up all these good stats, but they don't win in the postseason because you not pushing the chips into the middle of the table. Going into the league each year, like this year, if you saw the Super Bowl odds, we was number 3 in the NFC in Super Bowl odds, behind the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. We done jumped ahead of the Eagles. So it means you number 3. So why wouldn't you do everything you could to put enough players and personnel on the field to make yourself number 1? Why would you let the trade deadline and not make no moves while the other teams that were already ahead of you get other players? That's the stuff I'm talking about. You not all in. You comfortable being number 3. And that's just not good enough, because you, in essence, wasting the careers of a lot of these players. You wasting the career of Micah Parsons, okay? And Tank Lawrence. You wasting these guys' careers. With a Super Bowl or two, these guys could be Hall of Famers, okay? But you're not maximizing. I'm going to tell you just like this. The 49ers, now I said it in my video yesterday. If Kyle Shanahan don't win a Super Bowl this year, because they stacked all their chips. They went and got Christian McCaffrey. They went and got Javon Hargrave. They went and got the guy from Ohio State. God, I can't think of his name right now. To add to their defensive line, to go with Bosa, to go with Arnett. They got all that. Chase Young, that's his name. To go with all of that, they got that. They went and got Randy Gregory, who had a big tackle last night. So they went, who were already ahead of us in the NFC, and you didn't go get anybody. Okay, that means winning ain't important to you as it is to other teams. Now the 49ers, they went all in. They just came up short. Okay, and they're gonna be even shorter next year because, unfortunately, Dre Greenlaw went down with an Achilles last year, which means he's going to miss the entire next year's season because that's like one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And that's going to be hard to replace that guy. That's a hard dude to replace on that defense. So every year that you don't do nothing, man, you wasting stuff, So if you really all in, Jerry, let me see it. I don't want to hear nothing about no money. I don't want to hear you leaking anything in the news about how Blake Bortles is more accomplished than Dak Prescott to get the viewing public on the opposite side of Dak Prescott and negotiating. What are you doing? Stop doing stupid stuff like that. Those are the things that don't help your organization. Why do you do that? Because you own the team. I guess you can do whatever you want. But then when you don't win, you sit around looking stupid up in the press box. That's and I'm just tired of the clueless public that always blames the player. Well, Dak ain't good enough. You never got that. Did you get Dak a running game? Did you help Dak get a running game? Because everybody else in the playoffs had a running game except us. Okay. Brock Purdy can just hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey when it ain't going good. He can get you 4 or 5 yards. And then, Tony Pollard wasn't able to do that because we run an antiquated running scheme with Mike Solari. Man, get rid of him. Get us a real running backs coach and a real offensive line coach so we can run the football and complement our passing game so our offense can be, more complementary to what we're doing defensively and other things. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that rant. But anyway, Chiefs win. Cowboys got some decisions to make and some searching to do. We got us a DC finally, and we'll see what that's gonna do going forward. But this might be my last video for a while because this is the last game of the NFL 2023 season. And I'm just not going to just make videos just to get on here and flopping my gums. I'm not going to do that because that's just not what I want to do. Now I'll come on here when I find some good news or something I can make a nice video about that's well researched and put together. I'll put together one for you and do that. Certainly when the free agency comes around and as the draft comes around, I'll start giving you my picks for who I'd like the Cowboys to draft. And I've already given you 4 that I'd like to see us draft. And I'll give you a breakdown on some of that probably in the weeks to come. But I'll say this: it's been a great season. Wish it came about and went the way we wished it. With us throwing the confetti up with blue and silver confetti last night, that would have been awesome. I ain't seen that since I was like 25 years old, man. 28 actually. But overall, we had a good season, 12-5, and we look forward to what the Cowboys are going to do next season. But as always, Cowboys, DC4L, Cowboys Nation, how about them boys, whichever all those groups that I participate in. With a good season, we're looking forward to next year, what next year holds. And we're signing off for Uncle Fred's rants, for citing the end of the 2023 NFL season. So, with no more being said, I can find my cursor here. Here we go. With no more being said, we bid you goodbye. Great season, and God bless you with anything. We'll see you guys on the whichever video we try to do in a not too distant future. We'll see what we can do, but God bless you. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.